if it had been anyone else, I'm sure Jane's first glimpse of a half-wolf, half-woman would have been terrifying. But Gloria wears her name very well. Her silver-colored pelt gleams under the moon like no one else's I know. The perks of coming down from a long line of celebrated heroes, I guess. The war form, too, earns its name. It accentuates muscles to peak physical shape, lending someone like her, already possessed of graceful poise, an air of undeniable charisma. Don't get me wrong. As a warrior, Gloria is easily the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in the fields of battle. But she's also breathtaking. Jane was in awe, under her spell, unable to process anything beyond the purity of the beast before her. Well, good. That means I could get a few words in edgewise. How fucked are we? I asked my pack leader. She just chuckled and answered, well, at least 3, maybe 4. On a good day, we could take one out by surprise and lay the grounds for an even fight, but the girl's going to slow us down. Not that I was immune or anything, but I was used to being around her, so that gave me the superpower to be able to call her out. Sometimes. So I said, she wasn't born into this like you. Give her a damn moment to freak out a little. It's a lot to take in. That's fine, Horace, she replied. I get it, I do. But if we're going to make it out alive, we need to pick up the pace. You get her to comply and move out. Firehound and I will slow them down. And just like that, before I could protest or say anything further, she turned around and yelled out, meet back at the sept. Firehound, do your thing. She jumped up on the scaffolding in a single bound. Firehound shifted into the direwolf form and stood his ground behind us, covering our escape. Too late to argue now, so I rushed back to Jane, who had moved far away during our conversation. She was by the water puddle, cleaning herself, unprompted. Oh, that was good. That was very good. She was taking this far better than I had hoped. Hey, kid, I started. I know this is intense, but lives are at stake. Ours and yours. Will you please come with us? She sized me up. Didn't answer for a second, then suddenly plunged her entire head into the puddle, screaming out all the air inside her lungs. When she came back out with a clump of hair on her face, I tried again. Better? I asked. Immensely. Who the fuck are you? Why am I naked? And what the fuck is that? If I don't like the answers, I'm going to scream. This time, everyone will hear, understand? Hard to argue with such a firm position, and I wasn't getting anywhere fast. I didn't have time to cover all of those topics. So I thought I'd inject a little mystery to get her curious. I'm a storyteller. I know how to captivate an audience. What if I told you, you are a werewolf? And I grinned, enigmatically. Fuck, was all she said. I could see she believed it. Like, her entire life suddenly made far too much sense. But right now, I added, other werewolves, bad ones, they're coming to kill us. We can take you somewhere safe. She didn't seem convinced, so I added, and give you the answers to the questions you always needed to know. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her body language spelled acceptance. As we made our way out of the construction site, a loud noise resounded above us a mere 2 seconds before a bulky black werewolf hit the pavement right next to us. Hard. It never had a chance to do a damn thing before Gloria fell from above, piercing a rebar through its throat. Panic displayed plainly in its eyes. Gloria and I exchanged a look. I nodded. It's all it took for us to understand each other. Without words, her gaze had asked for a status report. By nodding, I told her that the kid was in. She turned her gaze back to the thrashing werewolf, the fetid rubbery skin of its chest exposed. An easy kill. I saw her calculate the odds. She was going to go for it, but a growl from Firehound told her the others were on their way. With the last vague nod away from the approaching enemies, she told me to get Jane to safety while she went to back him up. Now, for those who don't know, that's a nifty little perk of being in a pack with someone. All that time you spend together, through thick and thin, it's a trial by fire like nothing else. You come out of it a finely tuned machine or a lump of dead meat. But it's more than that. A pack of werewolves shares a spiritual bond thanks to their spirit patron. It makes coordination much easier between packmates. It's hard to explain, but a pack working together in harmony just clicks, especially in the middle of combat. It's what we were built for, after all. So with all that settled, I started a mad dash away from the enemy, trusting my pack to cover us and come back home alive. We ran for several minutes, and we were getting winded. See, the human form does a lot of things well, but when you need to get some distance fast, you need a car. Failing that, you want to have 4 legs. Wait, stop, I shouted after Jane. This is stupid. We can't outrun dancers like this. Dancers? What's that? She asked. A very valid question, but one I didn't have time to get into. Not now. Well, they'll be here soon. You need the basics. I gave her the cliff notes of what we are. We fight for Gaia, they want to kill her. Gaia? What's that? My heart sunk in my chest. But I didn't have time to show her proper respect either. So I went with, she's everything in the universe. Mother Nature, Mother Earth, if you will. We'll talk at length about her later. But for now, you need to learn to do this. Without warning, I shifted into the lupus form. 1 minute I was a man, the next I was a wolf. That took her aback a little, but she'd already seen the war form, so this was far less impressive. This is the lupus form. You were born human, so for you, this is the hardest form to take. It may take a bit for you to master it. I don't think you'll be able to get there in one go, so I'll walk you through all 5 forms. We'll take them one at a time. Her expression told me she wasn't sure she could pull it off at all, but she steeled herself. Looking at me with resolve, she said, "Okay, let's do this." The form you're in right now, it's called Hamid. It's the human form. This is your natural form. For most intents and purposes, in your natural form, you're a regular Joe. In this form, you don't get cool regeneration powers, and you can't shrug off the kind of damage that might kill ordinary folks. So if you need to fight, shift into literally any other form. She was taking it all in like a sponge. Good, because I won't need to repeat myself. Now, you need to go into a form called Glabro. It's also called the near man form. Picture yourself like a caveman. Not in terms of intellect. Don't go thinking ooga booga or any of that shit. You'll have all of your mental faculties in Glabro, but you'll be bulkier, hairier. Your nails will turn to slightly sharper talon thingies. It sounds cool, but they're mostly just for show. Like this. I showed her my Glabro form. She didn't seem to like it very much, so I told her, hey, it's not my favorite form either, but it's got its uses. Say you're in a bind, and you need a little bit more power, but you still need subtlety the other forms don't provide. You'll gain about a foot in height and mass to match, but you can still fit under regular clothes, like a hoodie, and not attract too much attention. You'll find it harder to talk with human words. Your throat can handle it, but it's not optimized for it anymore. This isn't a form for social activities, unless you mean to intimidate someone. Now you do it. Visualize yourself as this. Believe it. Think of it like role-play, like when you were a kid. Lose yourself into the role. Be the Glabro. It took her 2 tries, but she did it quickly enough. Congratulations, you are the Glabro. I beamed, and so did she. Holy crap, this is awesome, she yelled out, ecstatic. Not so loud. Here, let's hide in there while we walk you through the rest. Hopefully, they'll pass us by. I'm sure Firehound is giving them the turnaround. He's a damn good tracker, but he's just as good as misleading others down the wrong path. I motioned her inside a ramshackle, creepy as hell little building. Abandoned, likely going to be demolished to make space for probably more condos. Everything becomes a condos now. The door gave way easily with a push of my Glabro form. I pointed at it with a grin. See? Strong, yet subtle. She studied it a bit and replied, useful. Can I please do the next door? Sure, I said, once we were inside. But for now you need to learn 3 more forms. So replace the door back in its frame and listen. She did just that while I went on. So, Glabro is the closest form to Hamid. You can think of it this way. It is once removed from your natural form. The order is important because you'll need to go through them all in order to reach whichever one you're looking for. When you get good, you'll do it faster, but at the end of the day, the more removed from your natural form a shape is, the more effort it is to take. She was done by now, placing the door more or less where it was supposed to go, and was sitting on an old bucket she found somewhere. She was listening intently, so I kept going. This is important, the order of the forms, because you won't be able to shift unless you have enough space to take on whatever shape you need to on the way. And that matters, because the next one is a big boy. The next form, or twice removed from your natural form, is the Chrinos. That's the one right in the middle between wolf and man. Half wolf, half man. You'll be about 9 feet tall of pure muscles. You'll have a canine head and a fur-covered humanoid body. The cool bit with this form is that your arms are a little bit extended. It sounds weird, but it's actually super useful. Thanks to that perk, this form is both bipedal and quadruped. If you need speed, you got it. If you need power, you hella got it. If you need opposable thumbs, well, damn girl, you got that too. That's the form your friend was in, right? Chrinos? Man, she was catching on fast. Yeah, Gloria, my packmate. She took that form to fight because it's the war form. The one she was fighting did the same. It is, no contest, the best form for battle. You've got wicked claws, terrible teeth, and a temper to match. Remember when I said you'd have all your mental faculties in Glabros? This'll be a little bit different here, though. You'll be just as smart, don't worry, but you'll constantly boil just below the surface. This form means business. Your battle instincts will be cranked up to 11. Don't take this form lightly, or someone might get hurt if you snap. Understood. She pondered this for a moment, and then inquired. I assume I won't be able to talk at all, right? Yes and no, I told her. Human words, maybe a word or two, but you have other means of communicating. I let her sizzle for a second to see if she'd pick up what I meant. Then her eyes lit up, and she realized she did know what I was talking about. Earlier, when you were a wolf, you made weird noises. I understood that, she exclaimed. That's right, kid. The Garou Tongue is instinctive to all of us. Now that you've undergone your first change, you can understand it. A thought crossed her mind then. So I can talk to wolves now? Like a cartoon princess or something? No, I grinned. I couldn't help it. No more than you could before at any rate. Wolves don't speak the Garou Tongue. They don't have their own tongue either. That doesn't mean they can't communicate. They do so the same way a cat or a dog might. Posture, body language, gnarls. Animals aren't nearly as stupid as humans make them out to be. They find ways to express themselves. But it's true, I told her, getting back on topic. At first glance, the Garou Tongue seems very much the same. It's also all about posture, yips, growls, and even smells. But it's codified in a rich language with its own unique syntax. So yes, from Chrinos on, you'd best stick to the Garou Tongue. Conversely, it's hard to speak it in Hamid form. You just don't have the physiology to make the right sounds and smells. You'll be understood anyway, but it's like talking with a ridiculously weird accent, and it's just annoying. She got up. Lesson was over, it seemed. She was ready to try shifting into Chrinos. It was a little easier this time. She succeeded in one attempt. The drastic shift in her bone structure hurts like a bitch. I didn't warn her about that. Maybe I should have, but I thought I could deal with a pissed-off teenager, but we just didn't have time for her to hesitate trying it. She went all in, and she got there fast. She wasn't happy, though. The surprise pain mixed with the Chrinos' naturally seething anger was a dangerous cocktail. She rose to her feet, roaring her displeasure. But she was several feet bigger than she was used to, and weighed about 700 pounds now. All of it pure muscles. She crashed her head through the ceiling, destroyed a table half-eaten by God knows what unfathomable fungi, and landed on her ass while passing right through a cheap wall. She looked cartoonishly silly, covered in white dust with bits of wool stuck in her fur. She clearly felt the part. "You could have warned me," she growled in a Garou Tongue. "Wouldn't have helped. Now get up. They'll have heard that. You got 2 more forms to go, though. Now, are you ready to run like you've never run before? On 4 paws?" This has been A Rite to Remember, Season 1, Episode 3, a series of lore videos for Werewolf the Apocalypse as it was prior to the upcoming 5th edition, presented through an ongoing narrative for an immersive perspective. Silver pelts, dark pelts, what does it all mean? Why does a character like Gloria impress other werewolves so much merely on sight? The answer is something called purebreed, a divisive topic amongst werewolf players. It represents a lot of things rolled up into one ill-defined concept. The surface explanation is that you get a higher rating in purebreed if you descend from a line of glorified heroes. The higher your purebreed, the more your appearance lines up with an idealized version of your tribe. And if it's high enough, your Chrinos form can even display supernatural effects, depending on what tribe you are, if you are in the spirit world. For example, a member of Little Brother's tribe with a purebreed rating of 5 would leave behind a trail of snow in their wake. And that's where things start making less sense. Because it's one of the many places where the books just assume that tribes are a generational thing. That from parent to child, the tribe remains the same. But it doesn't. You do not choose your tribe. The tribal patron chooses you. Your parents may be Fenrir warriors, but if Fenris doesn't think you have the mettle to follow his teachings, another patron is going to show up. That kind of thing raises a ton of mechanical questions that aren't easily answered. If purebreed is tied to tribes, and you join another one, do you lose your purebreed? Does it only happen if you join a tribe that can't have purebreed? What does losing it imply? Do you suddenly use your pristine silver pelt just because some picky bird didn't want you to join the Silverfangs? Do you suddenly start hearing ghosts because another much cooler bird said you were one of the gang? There's a lot of weird questions there, but in the end, once you've worked something out with your storyteller that you're both happy with, if you do end up with purebreed, here's what it does. Whenever you're dealing with another werewolf, you can add your purebreed rating to your social rolls against that person because they are impressed by you. The downside is that folks will take one look at you and just assume you're awesome. It sounds like an upside, but in reality, it means everyone expects a lot more out of you. The pressure to perform is on, all the time. You may even be sent on missions that are dangerously above your abilities just because some elder thought you could handle it. After all, you're that one cool guy's descendant. Speaking of, if your parent has no purebreed, but is a goddamn renowned hero, do you get purebreed because you are their descendant? See, purebreed is broken. The less spoken about it, the better. For more information on the forms presented here, please refer to the core book for Werewolf the Apocalypse 20th Anniversary Edition on page 285. And by the way, I will not say Werewolf the Apocalypse 20th Anniversary Edition again. From now on, I will refer to it as W20. And of course, the 5th edition I will refer to as W5. So please pay that in mind. Anyway, on page 285, that's where you'll find information on the forms. I found it more important to focus on the practicality of each form here, something that isn't always obvious and isn't really covered in the core book. It's something you just kind of pick up along the years and reading all of the other peripheral books. This book, however, goes into more detail on the statistical variety, including things like weight ranges and height ranges and that kind of thing. Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. We're halfway out of town, halfway through all the forms. We've even had a glimpse at the enemy. What are those black dancer werewolf thingies? Keep watching and find out.